All right. Should be good to go. Welcome back, everyone, to yet another Moonshire Monday. Thank you so much for joining me. And I'm still, sorry, getting a little bit set up. I've been a little bit flustered this past week because I said I was going to have a video out, and it didn't come out. I've been having trouble with my video editing software, so I'm going to be taking care of that in the next couple days. Video is coming on Wednesday. I'm very excited to finally break my dry streak because it's been quite a while since I posted a devlog, but I'm very happy. It's coming along very nicely. And in fact, I'm going to show some of that process today since I've been working on like new setup, a new video editing system, you know, and I'm interested in getting people's opinions. But I'm seeing some people in chat already, a lot of returning people. I'm going to go all the way back up to see some of the people that were here really early, like Cobalt, Blaster, Prodby, Dark Ninja, Rodri, Ender Astra, Mr. Banana, Jellomations, Zachary Sailor, Lacko Today's. Lacko Today's. I bet I could get that right. Lakota Days. That's what it is. It's like Lakota. That's nice. That's a nice name. I like that. Baron, and Wolf, and Meme here. Owu. That's a good name, too. A lot of good names. Thank you for being here, everyone. Robert, and The Real Danny, and ETF Squish, and Zenith. Really appreciate all the people being here, and I recognize a lot of the same names that are returning. I appreciate all the returning support. And today, like the stream title says, we're going to be playing a little bit with the gravity because I've shown how the game now has a jump, and that's what the next video is going to be about, is about the Z-axis. I've been teasing that video for quite a while. What engine? It's Love 2D. And Balloonshire, I mean, that is certainly part of it, and that's kind of what, like, my whole mentality on this game has changed a lot, where now I see the physics side of things to be a really important aspect. How things interact. Wow, that is just so cool. That is just awesome. That is so cool. I love that. I love that. So like the physics engine is now really neat. Whoever suggested a few streams ago to add bounciness to the balloons, that was a very, very cool update. Hello, Child Cape. Welcome in, Turtle Man Gaming. That interaction was sick. Yeah. I'm hoping that a lot more of the game is going to feel like that, where it's just a lot of systems and the fun just comes from interacting with it. I think it's just a lot of fun. I think recently I've been inspired a lot by Pocopia because I've been playing the new Pocopia game on Switch too, and I am surprised by how much I like it. I normally don't really enjoy like the sandboxy physics games, but that is, or I guess it's not really a physics game. It's more like a sandbox builder game, but man, I love it. I can't believe how much I love it. It's really, really fun. So I think that some of this physics interaction kind of comes from that. I hope I can come to the Twitch stream tomorrow. Twitch stream is tonight. I stream on Monday. Well, I guess it depends on where you are in the world, whether or not it's Monday or Tuesday. But yeah, in my time, it's Monday night. So in addition to these balloons, in fact, I'm gonna restart. Oh no, someone, I promised someone in chat that I would check out Love Canvas. I'll wait until they come back in chat. I'm so sorry for not doing that. I knew that I had some things to do. I got that taken care of, and I need to still do both of these things. I apologize for not taking care of that. But if that person stops in chat today, we'll do it live. We'll do it live. So, man, sorry, my I have so many apps pinned to my taskbar that I can't see all of them, so I had to unpin a bunch. Give me 1 second while I do that. I'm like I have to like look around my microphone as well. It's really weird. It's Monday night. You from Europe? No. So, well, I mean, I'm from the U.S. and so if I stream on Twitch at 7 p.m., that might be the next day for people in, I think India is like 12 hours ahead. Yo, big fan. Thank you for being here, Bullet Hell. Future 34. Hey, Jockey, welcome in. Thank you for being here. I'm going to be showing some of the physics stuff. So the reason I restarted is because I noticed a few... Oh, no. Why didn't it save? It started in full screen. I don't want it to start in full screen. I think there's a way for me to toggle. Oh, it's not full screen. It's just really big. Whoop. One second. Sorry, I'm fighting my own game. There we go. There we go. That was a bit of a pain. So, to go on theme with the song that's now playing, let's bump the gravity down, because that's one setting that I really enjoy. Is wait, how can you do that? Oh, here it is. Here it is. Gravity 1.0. We can change a lot of things, but I'm gonna change the gravity down to 0.5, and we'll see. That should make me go twice as high. I think that's how the math works out. But oh, that's so fun. That is so much fun. I love the flip jump. I love jumping high. So this is one thing with these borders. Kind of breaks the perspective rules, because it's always underneath, or it's always above everything. So these act as a very hard border, and you know, it is kind of odd that they always cover you up, but I think that that's kind of just necessary to be part of it. Whoa. Also increase gravity? I think I can. Let me check. It's been a while since I've done that. Gravity up to... Yeah. So 1.5. Yep. It's very, I feel like I'm stuck to the floor. Like I'm magnetized. How, excuse me. I'm sorry for stuttering. How high can I make this go? I think I set a cap somewhere. Oh, I set a cap at 3. I made this menu probably 2 months ago, so it's been a while since I checked that. 3. Whoa! that's some very harsh gravity right here. Yeah, I think that would be kind of funny if there was like, I don't know, maybe some kind of environmental trap or a boss fight where the gravity gets really high or really low. I want to have a level that's on the moon itself, since it's Moonshire. I think it would be cool. How did the trees collision work? Well, so the trees right now, the collisions, everything is built off of the same collision class. So I'll show colliders. This is what it looks like. And actually, we can kind of see that the box size is not very good. I probably should make it taller and also rounder and wider to kind of fit the stump a little bit better. How do you jump on them? I mean, I would say it's not really intended that you should be able to jump on trees. I don't really want you to be able to, but yeah, right now you're able to just because that's how the physics system works. I'll show that again real quick. Sorry, I keep popping up the wrong menus. Settings, and then we'll turn the gravity back down to 0.5 so I can jump really high. So what was happening is that when you jump on anything, like if I jump on this rock, I think. Oh wait, no, the rocks are immune. No, you can jump on the rock. If you jump on lots of things, you like bounce off of them. So that same logic is with everything. And I kind of need to work a little bit on this so that you can't jump off of just anything. But since the tree is really tall, the Z height is really high, you can land right here and jump off of it, which is kind of not quite right. How does the Y sorting work when jumping? Oh, I know, that's a really complicated process. It's that the true position is always calculated from here, the base where the collider is, and that's why I like this collision view, because it really helps demonstrate how offset the sprite is from the shadow and how that like works with the whole system. But Y sorting uses this position down here for the Y sorting, which is why I can go all the way down here, even though I'm jumping really high in the air, like up to this position up here. It doesn't cover it up. It still uses the base shadow position as the Y sort position. Am I a coffee guy? I'm not a coffee guy. I would like to be, but my problem is I just don't like the flavor. I'm really picky with hot drinks too, so I think it's just not my thing. Does a player jump while swimming? I think so, yes. So in here we're swimming. I keep saying I need to fix this double ripple thing, but right now you cannot. Right now you cannot. In PC specs, I changed out my hardware a little bit, but it's a i9 with 32 gigs of RAM and a 5070 Ti GPU, which that thing is working good, except for the part where I'm having like, maybe it's compatibility issues with the different graphics card versus the different video editors, you know. I'm drinking pure espresso, dark and bitter like my soul. I love to hear that. Old school geek written like an old school man. Love that. I only drink coffee when I'm eating something by itself. Not really. Yeah, I get that. Allfather, welcome in. Good morning. just playing around with the physics system a little bit. And we were also talking a few streams ago about how, about how the balloons, you know, in lower gravity, I think that it would make sense if the balloons would actually float higher with the lower gravity. Because right now, if I go into the gravity and then I bump up the gravity, like to 0.2, or sorry, to 2.0, I would normally expect the balloons to kind of like fall closer to the ground, but right now they don't really change. They're basically unchanged by gravity, I think. Oh, I love that. I love the bouncy balloons. It's so nice. There should be like a sports mini game where you pass the ball, or like it feels like hockey. There should be hockey. I should make hockey in the game, and then you can like shoot hockey pucks. Oh, that would be so fun. Yeah, that's what this feels. This reminds me of air hockey. That's exactly what it reminds me of. The way it feels, the way it looks. Oh, I still have my the high gravity on. It looks so weird. I love the flip jump like this. I think the balloon traits can rotate as they go faster. That would look great. That would look great. I was thinking about that yesterday, actually, how if I have this balloon here, I'm imagining like a little feature where some balloons can have a string attached to them, and if the player grabs the string, it'll like attach to your physics body. And that really would be easy for me to do, where the balloon just has a line going from here to the player's body. Can the balloons go up and down too? Yes, they can. If I turn the gravity down. And let's say we go to, whoops, not this. We go to here. Go back to regular gravity. I'm gonna jump up here. So if I like spawn a balloon up here, it's a little higher up off the ground compared to, and we'll see when I push it off, it's gonna be higher up, like that. Whoa! It's a little bit too strong, I guess, because it pushed these barrels out of the way. That shouldn't be. Such a cool Y-Sort system. Thank you. What games inspired you for this game? The biggest inspiration for me has always been the classic Zeldas, especially like Link's Awakening, because I like that aesthetic. I like the cell map structure. I like the jumping. You get the Rock's Feather in that game. That's a very big inspiration. Buffalo Jake, welcome in. Happy Moonshire Monday. Thank you. Adele, welcome in too. I was showing off some of the physics features that the game has. Do you have multiple modules for those settings interface? Multiple modules for those settings interface. So the if you're talking about these settings, my settings file has one main settings JSON, and this is the data that it stores in it, is all this data. Oh, and also, by the way, I remember there was a bug on stream where two different mice, like the mouse cursor, it would always show two mice on my stream, but I fixed it. Actually, let me rephrase that. I didn't fix it, but I found what was causing the problem. The problem is that in OBS, you can set, oh wow, you can set things like this. You can set capture cursor. And when I have capture cursor enabled, look, now there's two cursors. Why is, when I have capture cursor off, it still has the cursor captured? That's so strange. So I think this is a bug with OBS compatibility with probably Windows mouse size scaling, because Windows has mouse size, mouse pointer size. I can't show the screen because it's showing my email. I don't want to do that. Well, I'll take a little screenshot of it. That's annoying. Windows should not need to show my email at all times. But anyway, Windows, if you search for mouse size, there's this size pointer like scale, and mine's set kind of high at 5. Normally it's at like 1 or 2. And that makes it bigger, but I think that what's happening is that OBS is not properly capturing that, or the data is not being sent to OBS properly, because now it's like behaving strangely. Am I thinking of making the game for Android? Yeah, I think that I will. I shouldn't say that I'm committing to it, but I am saying that I am considering it, because I know how to do it. I've been learning monogame. I like the control I have more than Unity. Nice, nice. That's what I like about frameworks in general, yeah. Oh, whoa, 2K monitor resolution. Right now, it's 1440p. Well, actually, is that 2K? I guess it is. I'm thinking making a game for Android, yeah. So I am planning to do that, but I don't want to commit, like, saying, yes, for sure it's going to come out for Android, because publishing games on Android or iOS is very, very hard. It's like, it's way harder than Steam, in my experience. There's just a lot more that goes into it. In fact, I publish games to Android and iOS, but they've been removed because the standards have gone up, and you have to keep changing things around, and a lot of privacy concerns as well that I've been working through. So I'm still figuring that all out. I do want to get through that. I do want to figure it out, and I want to get Necrozone republished. I stuttered and said republished, but that's actually accurate. It was published under Tropical Spirit, then I republished it under Necrozone, and then I'm got to republish it again, maybe with a new engine, new engine under the hood. And considering you need to make mobile touch buttons and stuff like that, I think that's the least challenging part, if I'm being honest. Like that is definitely a consideration, is how does the player interface with the game? But creating that kind of UI is a very, very small task compared to making sure that the shaders work properly on mobile. That's a big one, because they use completely different graphics technology between mobile and desktop sometimes, and sometimes they don't. And things like networking, if I have multiplayer, I have no clue how I'm going to do that. I would need to host my own external servers, which is not something that I plan on doing, because Steam hosts their own like relay servers that I can use for peer-to-peer multiplayer. Those are the parts that I think I'm most concerned about. The actual controls, like, in fact, I bet by the end of the day, if I wanted to, I could get this game here running on my phone. I'm very confident that I could do that. But running on a phone is one thing, and actually being a complete working product that's flawless to the same degree that the desktop version is, that's the hard part. Is that, like, getting it actually running on a phone, I don't think is really challenging when the game engine itself supports mobile, which Love 2D does. It's perfecting the experience for that platform is the hard part. Lou is cute. I think so too. I love it. Why don't I use engines like Unity, Unreal, or Godot? I tried all of them. I tried all of them out when I was first figuring out which one to use. And when I tried out Love 2D, I just liked it. I liked it more. That's why Stardew Valley was ported by another company. That sounds about right. I remember hearing about that, where Concerned Ape did all of the main development, but the ports were handled by another company. But I still think that he was pretty well involved with those too. But yeah, I know that's such a huge task. Zachary Saylor, thank you so much. Thanks for being a huge inspiration and guiding us all on making good love games. You're the GOAT. Could you please explain more about your tagging system in the Vessel concept? It seems very convenient for iteration. Thank you. Yeah, I'd love to talk about that. When you say tags and tagging system, oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. That's something I baked into the physics system, and this is a file that I really want to open source. In fact, my goal with this file, this physics.lua file, is as soon as Love 12 comes out, I want to make this file open source, because the big purpose behind this physics.lua file is it makes working with the physics module, like the Love 2D physics component, a lot simpler, because physics box 2D makes all of its objects run off of a body, a shape, and a fixture, those three things. And you have to combine all three things into one entity and organize. You have to do a lot of your own kind of coding to get things set up. And the goal of this physics.lua is to make it more consolidated, where those three aspects are combined into one single concept called Collider. And this might sound familiar, because because right now, the alternative to this physics.lua file that I made is an open source file called Windfield. So on GitHub, there is a file called Windfield for Love 2D. Where is the new Collider? Where's the dumb new Collider? Oh, it's right here. Oh, wait, no. Jeez, I'm sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. And you were asking about the tags. I'm going to come back to that. I just wanted to make sure that I understood what I was talking about. Sorry for the delay. I'm here. It is. Why? I swear I searched for Collider and didn't pop up, but it's all right here at line 304. Oh my gosh, it's huge. Sorry for the diversion. That took me a second to figure things out. Okay. Anyway, this function here. This is the problem when you have really long files. Is that like I went halfway through and I'm like, I can't find the thing I'm looking for. Why is it so far down? But it's here. Anyway, the whole purpose behind this physics.lua file and the purpose behind Windfield is to kind of introduce this collider concept, because colliders, it's a lot easier to understand. Like, this dummy has a collider, the balloon has a collider, the player has a collider. It's a lot more complicated to think of it as the dummy has a fixture, it has a shape, and it has a body. And same with the balloon. It has all three of those things. Now, a programmer would just write a function that handles all three of those things in like a class-based organized structure, but at the same time, I still think that it can go a step further where it's a lot easier if you don't even have to interact with those concepts at all. Because to me, the concept of body, fixture, and shape, they're so intertwined that having it as one single concept makes more sense to me, and I think it will make more sense to most people. So I still recommend Windfield on GitHub, but the big caveat is that Windfield is not supported anymore. It's old school. It hasn't been updated for a while, and as soon as Love 12 comes out, I've been warned that Love 12 will break Windfield, and that's why I've been putting so much effort into this new physics.lua file, specifically catered to my game and my game engine, and I want to make this kind of like an option that people could use once that deprecation happens. And like you were asking about the tags, Zachary, again, thank you so much for the donation. That's so kind of you. The tagging system is meant to help with identifying, like you said, identifying the different, like what type of collider am I interacting with? Because like in the game, we have a player collider, we have a prop like the balloon or this thing, we have the collider for the NPCs or the dummy. If I spawn, how do I do this? No, that's a balloon. Here's an enemy. An enemy has a different type of collider, and the whole point of the tagging system is to help with what sort of special logic exists when I collide with a prop, when I collide with an enemy, when I collide with another player, when I collide with an NPC, when I collide with a plant like the grass. Well, I guess the grass doesn't use the physics system, that just uses distance formulas. With this tree is a plant, though. So that's the whole idea behind the tagging system. And if I think I can just search for tags and we'll find all the stuff related to that. So the collider, the tags literally is just a table, and it uses just a bunch of strings as basically like a dictionary, where the string is the key and it returns true or false, whether or not that, or true or nil, I should say, whether or not that collider has that tag. And this is especially used in the hitbox collision detection, but I want to save that for a second. Otherwise, I'm going to lose track of what I was saying. The tags, let's see what else I do with the tags. There's definitely going to be a lot of logic for assigning tags. Add tags, this is pretty basic. It just accepts a variable number of parameters and then assigns each one using a for loop. This is a very clever function, by the way. You can add any number of tags using any number of parameters using this ... notation, and then this for loop iterates through for each one and assigns each one as true within that loop. It's so cool. Winfield mentioned, I feel like I mentioned it a lot. This is like, I can't lie. How do you get from good at game dev? I'm only 13 and I've already had so many failed games. What you're doing is perfect. You said you already had so many failed games. So do I. When I was your age, I had several. And then when I was 16, I had several more. And then when I was 20, I had several more. And I was in college. So like that, just keep on doing what you're doing. That's awesome. Thanks for being such a big inspiration for me. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. So let's more with these tags. There's remove tag, has tag. So this is actually just this function isn't even really necessary, because you could just say, this, but I guess this is a little bit cleaner to read. Has tag. So that's kind of the whole idea behind this ignored tags. There's just a lot of checking in several places where it's seeing what tags exist on each individual object. And for example, like the player would have the player tag. It would probably have the mob tag. The slime would have the mob tag, and the player would have the mob tag because they're both mobs. The slime might have like the danger tag, so that you take damage when touching it. And then there's the prop tag, or there's all kinds of different ones. I think that I can see. Where can I see the list of all the tags? Do I have a file called tags? I do have a file called tags. They're all organized here. Wow. How convenient. How convenient. Tag queries. Is this right? I think this is like a re-implementation of it. Oh, this is a re-implementation. I don't think I'm using this. I don't think this is being used. This just looks like a generated file that I don't even remember. You made your own code neat? Oh, I mean, I promise you, these comments were not written by me. These were definitely generated for sure. CG Kraz, welcome in. Thank you. Thank you for being here. I see many game development videos that advise against using OOP and only recommend using components, but in a game framework, do you see more reason to use them than in an engine? I think that it depends on which engine you're using, because some engines are built for it and some engines aren't. And I think it's totally dependent on like what features are available within your certain framework. In my case, like Love 2D, I'm using Lua. Lua isn't an object-oriented language, but it's so flexible that you can kind of treat it like one. And I think object-orientedness makes sense in the context of game development, just because here, I'll pull up my visual aid, as I like to call it, because I'm going to be showing this off in the next video that's coming this week. But this is the structure of the code now, where the mob and prop is now a new concept that contains the player, NPC, and enemy, where now there's like this like container, where before it really did look more like this, where it was just a line, a separate section of individual categories. And this is a good starting point. This is how Legend of Lua, the original code base, was set up, where each class was its own file, essentially. And then now all the enemy code would go in here, and all the player code would go in here. But the problem is, it turns out there's a lot of overlapping code between this class and this class, and that's why a structure that's more like this is better, because now I can have this mob concept. The player, the NPC, the enemies, these all behave very, very similarly in terms of like how things go when they interact together, when they hit each other, when they take damage, when they jump. There's lots of things that are the same between all of them, and so it makes sense to create this concept mob. And this is why, going back to object-orientedness, it really does work nicely for games, I think. At least for a game like this, where it's a lot of just entities in a world, have different types, and you just build off of that. So, I keep mentioning the vessel, or I don't know if I keep mentioning it, but the vessel is this parent physics object that goes into anything else that has physics. So in the game, we can see the vessel, the green, anything green, you see the green outlines. That's all the vessel. The vessel is physics. Vessel essentially is, I'm going to pull this up too. Vessel takes all the stuff from physics. This is the physics engine. This is the engine level stuff that's making things run. And then Vessel is like my game specific stuff. It's taking that physics engine and adapting it into some kind of thing that works for my game, because not every game's the same. If I was making a platformer, this Vessel file would look wildly different. Very, very, very different, just because it behaves so much different. The whole idea behind this Vessel is it's the behavior for the physics, and the physics is just how it behaves in a physical environment, a physics system. This is the hard collisions, the momentum, anything involving the like the hitbox itself. And I was mentioning the hitbox before because Sailor asked about the tags, and this hitbox uses those tags. I had that function has tag, and here it is. It really is as simple as it says, where we have is slab, is solid. I could probably clean this up, honestly, but it uses this to help determine what happens. So is slab is the ground. So if I go back to the game, slab is like this ground that you can walk on. Oh, he comes up. That's so nice. What a good boy. But, you know, you can walk into the slab like this, and it's solid, but I can jump up onto it because it has, like, the verticality to it. And some of the slab logic, same with isMob. I think isMob is probably more interesting because there's more custom logic. Should recoil. I guess should recoil is self.mob. Oh, I see. Because there's two aspects here. Self is referring to a hitbox. You know, if I pull up, I'm gonna pull up, turn on hitboxes. I'm gonna equip the big axe. There, you can see the yellow is the hitbox. The yellow is a hitbox, and the green is a physics collider. And this hitbox.lua file handles the yellow hitboxes, but there's all of the logic of when those two things overlap. Maybe I should have it where hitboxes overlap too, because I can imagine a scenario where like two players are swinging their axes at each other, and the axes collide, and then it would cause like a clink, you know. Yellow is a particle collider. No, I think specifically yellow is hitbox. When I say particle, when you say particle collider, that makes it sound more dense than it actually is. It really is just hitbox is a generic thing. It's an invisible hitbox, but it's an invisible shape that triggers something when it overlaps with a collider. So the vessel is just a generic template that all objects in the game use? Yes, exactly. Is that if I go over to mob, this is the mob file. And like I was saying earlier, the mob is apparent to hero, and well, I guess these are the different types of mobs. But this is like the player type, and these are enemy types. But the NPCs are also going to go in here as well. And if we search in this file for a vessel, there's 41 instances, but when the mob gets created, this is happening in the create function. All the way down here on line 141, we configure all of the stuff that goes into the vessel. So anything that the physics body needs to worry about, the vessel, anything that's physics related needs to go in this vessel args table. You know, things like the initial position, the parent, this connects the vessel with the mob itself, movement speed, momentum, fall factor, how fast you fall, things for the shadow. There are a lot of shadow factors. I could probably make a dedicated table for this specifically. No dynamics. I don't remember what no dynamics means. I'd have to look at that. Elevation is the ground position. Use collider. I guess you can have a vessel without a collider, but I think I want to deprecate that feature because that's a little bit overboard. Then there is collider config. Use collider. Oh, you can pass in custom collider configs. That's really, really cool. Restitution is something that we worked on stream. This is how bouncy it is. So all of these things get passed in with the vessel args to the vessel. And, well, we can actually see this right here. Mob.vessel equals new vessel, and passes in all the vessel args. So everything works off of, like, and here, you can even see it here. Mob.collider, if we ever refer to mob.collider, it's actually mob.vessel.collider. They're the same thing. It's a double reference, I guess, so that you can, it's like shorthand. OP is totally useful, just hard for my brain to conceptualize. I think that when you see a lot of examples, it makes a lot more sense. There are many tips for making short and simple games, but for someone who is primarily an artist, it's more difficult to try and make something that isn't that interesting. I think that you'd be surprised because when you say interesting, here, I'll rephrase it. You said that you're an artist. Here's a simple game idea, a visual novel. That's pretty easy because you don't even need to use a game engine. You can use like a visual novel creation tool. I bet there's lots of game engines that are just like visual novel engines. And then use your art skills to create a bunch of assets like the characters and maybe some items, or maybe there's some UI elements that you can make. I would say that would be an awesome way to stretch your artistic muscles and just get something created. I think that would be an awesome starting point. And on the flip side, if you're a programmer, I would make Pong. Even if you're not a programmer, if you want to learn programming, I would make Pong because it's a very mechanics, gameplay heavy type of game compared to a visual novel. It's a very art and writing focused sort of experience. a pack of several 2D trees and I want to make a sprite sheet. I have different dimensions varying from 200 to 2000. What's the professional way to handle this? Separated sheets based on dimensions or how? That's a good question, and it's going to be handled differently for different art styles. And I have most of my experience is in pixel art, and all my answers are going to be based kind of around that. But when it comes to pixel art, my art style does not require me to worry about resolution because I just make things as they... Well, I do have to worry about resolution, but I don't have to worry about canvas sizes. Things are sized the way that they are, and then they scale up to a dedicated pixel scaling. All the pixels that you see here are the same scale, with some exceptions. But things just scale up cleanly. Now, in a high-res experience, like a visual novel, for example, if you were doing a visual novel using like digital art, using like a tablet that you were drawing off of, you would want to use higher-res textures. But the thing about scaling is that art tends to scale down better than it does to scale up. And that makes sense, because if you have a really, really high detailed like photograph, you take a picture with your iPhone and you upload it to your computer, it's going to be super high resolution, way higher resolution than it needs to be. And you can like zoom in really, really far because it's so dense. And because of that, you can scale that photo down to be like half the size and it would still look perfect. You could scale it down to be a tenth of the size and it would still look perfect, to be honest. But if you took a photo that was a tenth of the size and you scaled it up, it would look really blurry. It would look really blurry. I wonder if I can demonstrate this with something. All right, I have something that I can demonstrate it with, but I don't really like it. And we're going to demonstrate it with my beautiful face, because I think that is a really good demonstration. But I'm going to use GIMP. GIMP is a art program that is really useful for... It's what I use for any of my image manipulation stuff, just because it has all the tools that I need. But I think GIMP is a little bit overboard. It's a little bit clunky to use, but here's a picture of me. Here's a picture of me. It's already a little bit blurry. It's already kind of blurry because I think I took this from a video. Okay, so this is a picture of me. And the thing is, let's see, the image itself, how big is it? See, I don't know enough about this. It is 1579 by 1241. And this is a good size for a YouTube thumbnail because YouTube thumbnails are 1080p. So this is a really good size for a thumbnail. But let's say that when I took the photo and I uploaded it, it turned out that the image was much smaller, like 400 pixels, like this. Okay? Honestly, it doesn't look that much different. It really doesn't look that much different when I'm just showing it on stream like this. When I zoom in, you can tell that it's much fuzzier, but probably for a thumbnail it would be fine. Now, let's do the exact same thing. I'm going to scale the image, but instead of scaling it down, we're taking this low-res, blurrier version of my beautiful mug, and we're going to scale it up. Scale image. We're going to scale it up to be, we'll make it really big, like 3,000 pixels. So it's very large, and we're going to add interpolation. Well, actually, I'll demonstrate it without interpolation. We're going to say no interpolation, no scaling. Okay? It took those same pixels, and it scaled it up, so when I zoom in, it's very, very blurry. The original image did not look like this. In fact, I'm going to go and show what it looks like originally. Again, you can zoom in much farther. This is what the rim of my glasses look like on this one, and this is what it looks like on this one. This is with no interpolation. What that means is that literally you see pixels here, but each pixel is bigger than one pixel. This is like, how many? This is 8 by 8 or 8 by 7 pixels. Why is it 8 by 7? Oh, it's 8 by 8, but this line is 7. That's strange. It didn't even scale well. Add that picture of yourself into the game as an Easter egg. Yeah, maybe not. We'll see. How to create pixel art with real photos? Yeah, you just do this. It's perfect. This looks like pixel art. So I'm gonna undo that scale up that I did. So we're back down to the low res image, and like these pixels you see here, These are actual pixels. This is 1 pixel. This is 1 pixel. And this is what a low-res image is like, is that it's like actually pixely. And when I scaled up using no interpolation, it didn't add any new pixels. It was still pixels. Now, when I scale up image, and we're going to scale it again to 3000. But this time, interpolation, I'm going to set to cubic. So what this does is it uses some like clever math. When it's scaling up those pixels, it adds new pixels in there to make it blend a little bit. But that's all it is. It's just clever math and blending. It looks fine right here, but when we zoom in, it's a lot better than before. Way better than before. Before, it was a bunch of squares, a bunch of pixels. And now, instead of pixels, it's blurry. It's blurry. This is different than here. Whoa. You know, honestly, this isn't that much better. I think that the scale up to 3000 pixels actually kind of helped. So let's scale it back up to this resolution. This resolution is... What is it? Oh my gosh. Let's scale this. Yeah, because scaling it up to 3000 kind of made it a lot better. It added so many pixels and the interpolation was so good that it kind of makes it a lot better. Holy song. Oh yeah. This is a good one. I'm gonna undo this, and instead of going up to 3000, I'm gonna go up to the same dimensions as this guy, which image crop. I can't crop because there's a background. I'm going to delete this background, delete layers, and then we're going to image crop to content. Okay, so I'm gonna scale. I'm gonna scale it up to 1162. Image, scale image, using the cubic to 1162. So this is gonna be a direct comparison between the original resolution and the scaled interpolation. Honestly, it still doesn't look that bad. It still doesn't look that bad. Okay, like this is definitely crisper. Yeah, that's a pretty distinct difference. But that's what happens when you have like loss increase, is that you can decrease fine and retain all that data, but when you increase is where things get lost. So all that to say is default to using high-res assets. As high-res as you can do without it impacting performance. You know, I don't know if I should just blanket statement say that, but in general, that's what I would do. When I had Tropical Spirit, I had a game on, I can probably pull it up so we can get my face out of my face. I'm going to open up a new, I think I can actually show all of it. Give me 1 second, I need to, it's like opening my Windows way too big. I can't see the... Ugh! I'm trying to open up the Tropical Spirit codebase, because I have it. I'm pretty sure I do. I got it. I got it. Okay, here we are. So, this is a game that I made... Ooh, when was this? It was while I was in college. So 2016. I made this in 2016, so 10 years ago. And it uses high-res assets. It's a phone game. We're gonna listen to the music because it's Chalicate original. So this game uses high-res sprites. You can see I have the high-res background and the high-res fonts, the high-res characters. I mean, the high-res characters are just vector art, and it's really flat. There's no shading on them. The shadows are really highly detailed, too. So after this, I'm going to show what the sprites look like, and we're going to check out what the dimensions for them are. I bet that these sprites, too, are also very, very high-res. It's a Necrozone. Yes, this is what Necrozone was before I turned it into Necrozone. Yes. This is what Necrozone was. So I made this game in 2016, and I posted it to Google Play Store, and it got removed because I wasn't keeping up with updates. You have to like post security updates or have the latest version, you know. And I wasn't doing that, so it got removed. And after it got removed, I'm like, I want to get it back online, but I thought that the theming of this original version was kind of lame. How there's just like these red guys and you hit them. There's not too much personality to it. So I took the concept, because I like the concept of moving the orb back and forth. I think that's really clever to kill everything. But I changed the whole theming to be Necrozone. That was a really bad run. I didn't even finish it. I need to take a step up. I need to focus if I want to clear this. It's actually harder to play this game. Oh no! It's harder to play this game on a computer because of exactly that. Because you click off of it. And this version of the game doesn't have the reset button. There's no reset button, so there's no way for me. Is there a way for me to go back? Oh, I can go back. I can go back with the escape button. How many framework and products using made until today? I've made lots of games my whole life, but I haven't published very many of them. So the way I always recommend people learn stuff is just to make tons and tons of stuff. You don't need to post things. There's a lot of people asking about like, where do I get people to play my game? And it's like you can try to get people to play your game. You can post it on itch.io and tell people about it, but it's perfectly okay to make games for the sake of like practice and learning and building up your skills. I always talk about this. It's the same as if you were learning to paint. If you were learning to paint, you don't need to jump into like a really big complex work of art as your first painting. You can start with some very simple still lifes or painting a bowl of fruit. Everyone starts by painting a bowl of fruit. Why do they do that? It's because it's easy and accomplishable. As opposed to like starting with a mural. You wouldn't start with a mural. You'd start with something simple. I'm making my game. Can someone help me or team up with you? I think that immediately my goal for you is to start with something simpler. I'm concerned if like you're making your game. What is your game? Because if it's anything more complicated than Pong, I would really urge you to take it as easy as possible, because this stuff is hard. Even a game like this is not simple. There's a lot that goes into it. It's kind of like Pong. The green guys can't be killed. Yes, the whole idea is that the green guys are like the Grim Reaper, where you're not supposed to touch them. The green guys are good, and you don't want to hurt them. And I thought that was confusing in this version of the game, where you're supposed to only hit the red ones. So that's why I changed him to a Grim Reaper. Because it just makes a little bit more sense. Oh, this is gonna be hard. How many paintings you didn't post anywhere? Yeah. So like I really should go back through and show a lot of my old Game Maker projects, because I have tons of Game Maker games that I made from when I like literally a kid. My first Game Maker game was from 4th grade. How old are 4th graders? They're like 9 years old. 10 years old. I don't know how old I was, but it was 4th or 5th grade. Is when my dad got me Game Maker's Apprentice. It was this like really old school book about how to use Game Maker, but I loved it, and I made all the games from it, or at least as many as I could. And I learned so much from doing that. And I made lots of my own custom games where I drew all the sprites. That's how I got good at pixel art too. Is I drew tons and tons of pixel art in Game Maker and made little games with them, and I never posted them. I posted one game to Yo-Yo Games once, but no one played it. But I showed that on stream too, how one of there's a Yo-Yo Games archive, the Yo-Yo Games Sandbox archive. Oh, I almost died. Where we're gonna go back to other music, and I'm gonna see if I can find the Yo-Yo Games Sandbox archive. Yo-Yo Games archive, yeah, Sandbox archive. Okay, so if you don't know, by the way, Yo-Yo Games is the company behind, well, I need to take a step back. Game Maker is a game engine. It's what like Undertale was made with. There's a lot of games made with Game Maker, and Yo-Yo Games is the company that owns it. I don't know if they still do, but when I was a kid, Yo-Yo Games was this website where people could post their Game Maker games, and it was really easy to download those games and play them on your computer. So it's this really, really fun thing where you could just play fan games, play like cool indie games made by kids. And some of them were horrible and some of them were good. Like there were some really, really, really good ones like Assassin Blue. This one was so good. And actually, really, anything by Banov was good. And unfortunately, this is the only one here. Oh, no! All of Banov's games were amazing. They were so good. Assassin Blue, Doubloon I played. Crazy, I don't remember that one. Escape from Underworld is awesome. This one's actually really inspirational for me because it was the whole concept behind Escape from the Underworld is that it's a very small scale, condensed Metroidvania. It's meant to be like you can play through it in less than an hour. It's so quick and easy. Well, not easy. It's really just quick, and I love that. I love how dense it is. Oh, Wolf, look, it's you. But anyway, I love this site. So if you search for my old, I don't like that Edge is showing me a bunch of stuff I searched for. What if I search for something weird? Luckily, I only search for nerdy stuff. Play Adrift. Here it is. So this is the game I made in 2011. Wow. So 2011, I would have been 15. I would have been 15 when I posted this. Vision is a single or multiplayer exploration shooter. 17 levels, so like, it was made with Game Maker 8.0 Pro and took me about 150 hours to complete. Okay, that sounds about right. That's honestly like a lower amount of hours than I would have expected, but I don't know if it actually works where you can download this. I wouldn't recommend it if you're able to. Oh, you can download. I'm worried it's gonna like install. Yeah, I'm not gonna. I know that it's fine because I uploaded it, but oh, it even says Game Maker Crab here. That's so funny. That's awesome. Godot has its own debug system. You don't need IDEs. Well, yeah, that's the thing about engines, game engines, compared to like I'm using Love 2D, and Love 2D is so lightweight. It's just a framework. You have to use your own text editor. You have to use your own level editor. You have to use your own whatever. All your artwork is done outside of the program. All your sound effects. You have to do everything outside of the framework, bring it into the framework, and then build it up from there. You have all the pieces, and you use the framework to build it all together. Compare that to an engine like Game Maker. Game Maker is really approachable because it has a sprite editor built into it. It has a level editor built into it. You do all the coding within the editor, within the Game Maker editor. It's all built in, and it's the same kind of with Unity. It's the same with Godot, where it's so condensed, it's so built in. It's all one place, and I think that's really appealing to a lot of people, and it's really appealing to me, honestly. Where it's frustrating to have multiple software like options for every individual thing. And I have an example of this actually. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna open up my latest video project that I'm working on because I was talking in Discord about how much of a problem it's been recently working with Camtasia, working with video editing and my new graphics card. I've been having issues where the gameplay from my game, it's it's buttery smooth, 60 FPS. Well, I guess right now it's kind of stuttery because I have a bunch of junk on screen, but normally the game is very smooth. And I noticed that when I was recording it, it would just have so many problems with the recording. It would be so choppy, and it wouldn't capture all 60 frames. It was just not working properly. Even if I had a clip that was properly recorded, and then I imported it into Camtasia, it would just suddenly lose all of its frames. Even when I exported it, was just really, really not reliable. So what I did is I've been trying out DaVinci Resolve, and I'm gonna pull this up on stream to see if it crashes my computer. It's very likely, or possible, that when I open this up, it's gonna like cause the whole stream to die. I hope that doesn't happen. But I've been trying to get used to this new setup. What the heck? There we go. And I'm not going to do any spoilers for the video, but I want to talk about one thing that is kind of related to what we were saying, how a thing with an engine, I think of an engine like Unity to be similar to this program here, where it's very strong and powerful and everything is built into it. Actually, this isn't a very good example because what I was going to say is that Camtasia is a one-stop shop too, but it's just a different set. This kind of is like an engine though, where it's got all of the features in place to make this video, but you have to do a lot of your own custom stuff. And I guess an example of that is this arrow right here. In the video, I'm going to have this effect where these arrows like pop up like that. I'll show it again. Oh, come on. I'm so sorry that I'm interacting with this program poorly. I'm just so not used to it yet. I'm trying to... Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Do you see this? I keep trying to move the timeline, but it's moving all over the place. There we go. This effect. Oh my gosh. That's so embarrassing. But that's how I've been feeling the past week or so, is that when I was trying to use Camtasia to make this video, it wasn't processing the footage properly. And then I switch over to using DaVinci, and it's processing the footage perfectly. It's so good. The processing on this thing is awesome, but I'm just not used to this workflow, and there's some quirks to it that I don't like. The hotkeys, I can't change the mouse hotkeys. It's so weird. And this arrow thing, I use arrows in lots of my YouTube tutorials, and DaVinci didn't have anything for this. So this arrow that we see here, where it expands out like this, an effect like that would be so easy to do in Camtasia. I know exactly how to do it. There's an arrow tool that you can drag onto the timeline, and you can animate it to stretch out. It's so good. But this arrow tool, I had to download from the internet as like an external macro, and the way it gets pre-rendered is really awkward. But it does look good. The final result's really nice. Let's see, some of us interact with the real world poorly, so don't feel bad. I mean, honestly, that's relatable, yeah. But like, I get embarrassed when like I'm on stream and I get flustered with software, or like I click around and you see like the windows are changing all the time because I'm misclicking. That's the other thing, is that I misclick a lot when I'm moving around quickly, and it causes my own issues. It's my own issue. Is Moonshire going to be free when you release it officially? The current plan is to release it for under $10. It's going to be really cheap, as far as much as I'm able to make it, and it's going to have the regional pricing for different regions. Can't wait for this game. Thank you. Yeah, I'm excited for it too, but there is definitely a lot of work to be done. But anyway, I was showing off this DaVinci Resolve stuff because in Discord we were kind of talking about video editors a little bit, and I'm going to be using this to get through the rest of this video. And now that I'm more used to it, I do like DaVinci Resolve. I'm getting used to the quirks, but I really miss a lot of the features that Camtasia had. Like this not having the arrow thing is annoying. This custom arrow is fine, but it took so long to get this working because it's not as clean. And then Camtasia had all these built-in like transition assets that were really good, and background assets that were really good. That's another thing, is that I had to kind of get creative with one of these backgrounds. Like, I think it was this one. Oh yeah, so in this video, I'm going to be showing this exact visual aid that I was showing off earlier in the stream. And I like animated it like this. And actually the way that this is animated is pretty nice. That took a lot of work and figuring out how to do that though. It ended up working out though. I kind of like how that looks. So moving things around does make sense. I'm sorry if this isn't interesting, but making devlogs is kind of part of my thing, you know. Works on Linux. The game is not out on Linux, but it will. In fact, one thing that I should mention is that I put a lot of time recently into Chat, which is the text overlay stuff. So the text that you see above my head in the stream is custom code. And Rick Carlson, Old School Geeks, lunch is on me today. Thank you so much. That's so kind of you. Thank you. I really appreciate the support. Really appreciate the donation. And what I was mentioning about Chat is that working on Chat was so awesome because it taught me a lot about a lot of the automated processes to doing builds. So you were asking about Linux, and this Chat app runs on Linux. All of the releases come out on Linux as well. How do I see the releases? Right here. And the way it generates these happens all through GitHub Actions, and I'm going to do the same process for Moonshire. So I've always been saying that I didn't want to support Linux right away because it's so much work to support multiple platforms, like supporting Mac while also doing the Windows build and a Linux build. It just takes too much time. But with Chat, when I worked on this software only like 3 weeks ago, and I made this setup where, in order to create this series of builds, the Mac build, the Linux build, the Windows installer, the Windows portable build, it's able to do all of this through GitHub Actions. You go to Actions, and we can see full release. I have these full build release GitHub Actions, and it actively builds each of the zip files, and it posts them to a release like web page. That's how I was able to show all of those release details, and people can download this directly from here. And I want to have Moonshire set up in a similar way where it's super easy for me to just click a button and say release, and it'll do all the builds, it'll create the zip files, and then I can just post them to Steam really, really quickly without it being a big issue. No asking age. Age discussion is not allowed in the chat. Balloon chat? Yeah. What's the game gonna be about? I mean, I haven't really decided what the exact storyline is gonna be, but I don't really want it to be super narrative focused, more kind of like Elden Ring, where Elden Ring is a world that you're dropped into and you're exploring to discover like kind of what's going on and uncovering certain characters and stories that have happened. I think that sort of lore and storytelling is really interesting compared to having tons of characters that all say things. I think games like that are good, but it's you know, a personal choice. I think that my game is going to be more focused on like the gameplay and events of things happening rather than dialogue or events that are told. More like the first Zelda's game. I suppose so, yeah. What programming language did you use for Chalet Chat? Chalet Chat is all TypeScript and web page stuff. And I think it actually has a layout on the side here that tells you the percentages. So it's 47% TypeScript, 28% JavaScript, and then the PowerShell for running things, HTML and CSS for the overlay, because the way that the overlay above me gets rendered is through a web page. So it's all using web tech to capture the chat messages in real time and then post them to a local web server where it gets posted like that. Can you tell me your project games you made? Just asking for fun. Yeah, I've made lots of games. If you want to see some of my early stuff, there's a YouTube channel called Game Maker Crab, and I would recommend checking that out. I don't want to show it on stream. I always show it on stream. I struggle with Y-sort like a lot. I do too. It's a hard topic. I can show some of my stuff with that. I think I have a file specifically for that Y-sort. So I tried to extract, and has all the very, very convenient comments where everything's very, very clean. I like that, but it doesn't really feel like it was written by me, if I'm being honest. But this file here is specifically all of the Y-sort functions. And the whole idea is that the render file, I have this render file. This render file uses the Y-sort and passes in probably Y-sort, colon. Add tile. So it's actually passing the tile details, because in the game is tile based, you know. All of the environments you see, even the platforms, it's all tiles. And each tile, at least each cluster of tiles, uses some of the Y-sort stuff, and it has to have all of this data get passed in. Let's see. On the demo right now, how do you show the hitboxes, or is that a dev thing? You can press Control-Alt-D, and I think that you can show collisions in that version. The keybind is Control-Alt-D. I'm also making a game like this, and you've been so inspirational during the past 2 months. Awesome! Excuse me. That's awesome to hear. Thank you. Jump system is so beautiful. I'm excited for this video to come out so I can talk more about it, because it's really cool. I like it too. Do you ever worry about scope creep with this project? Yes. And what's happened is the scope of the game has only been going down. The debug menu has collisions. I think it does. I think that the debug menu does have collisions. It's definitely in the recent version show collisions, but I think even in Prefactor it does. But scope creep, in the beginning, the game was anticipated to have way more content than I anticipate it will have now. Now, I am moving the game more in a direction of being... content will be easy to create. It will be easy for players to create their own content, for modders to create their own like sub games, and for me to make levels for the game, to make the main content. Whereas before, I was kind of just focused on making as big of a game as I could, or as full of a game. And I was less focused on mechanics and the tech behind it. So scope creep, in my case, has been going down, where I'm making more and more cuts to how long I want the game to be. Right now, I anticipate the final game, like the main game, will probably be like 3 or 4 hours, but the whole goal is that the underlying engine is going to be so robust that making new content, there's going to be like an endless supply of stuff that you can do. Sorry, it's not showing the name of who donated. Rick Carlson, old school. Thank you so much. I'm so sorry that it's not showing me the name. I'm not kidding. Here, look at this. It's not showing me the name of the person who donated. Can you believe that? That's so wild. I'm sorry about that. But Rick Carlson, thank you so much. Beach theme. Pixel art for beach balls, surf, palm trees as a possibility for dream sequence. Ooh, I love that. I love that idea. That is such a nice idea. I love that aesthetic. And in general, I like ideas that, or for things that just feel like they achieve a new vibe. Because right now, all of my stuff, especially in the new engine, everything is still just this like grassland theme. And I have all the tiles for the cave and for the cloud, but it would be really nice if there was more, landscape variety. I love a beach theme, and a dream sequence would be neat too. The beach ball was blocked out, was it? We're gonna add that to the list. Ball, and it's probably balls is censored. Oh my gosh, lots of Earthbound today. Yeah, that's kind of a strange coincidence, but I'm here for it. Yeah, if anyone else notices some weird words that are being censored that really shouldn't be censored, just let me know, because like I was showing on an earlier stream, my filter list is very extensive. It is 1,477 words, and I am going to remove these 3, but that still leaves quite a few left over. Can you tell me how to? Are you talking about Challenge Chat? It's on Steam, if that's what you're asking about. How does Love2D work? Oh, well, Love2D, yeah, you can download Love2D for free as well. Or a server, as you said. What I'll say is the server architecture and the way that it handles Challenge Chat. So I'll give a brief rundown of how this works. Is that Challenge Chat, this app, you give it the URL for the stream. This is the URL for my stream right now, and it makes a connection. And what this connection actually does is, invisibly in the background, it's opening up this web page. Quite literally, it's opening up this web page like this, where it's just reading all the chat. But it's doing that in an invisible web page behind the scenes. And whenever it notices that the chat changes, it reads the new chat, and then it instantly updates the list of messages. Then, on top of that, on top of this connection aspect, it's also invisibly running a local web server. And that's what it's talking about up here, the overlay browser source, this local host. And this local host thing, this is where the overlay actually exists. This is the endpoint that you see above my head, because in OBS, you can plug browser sources and have them be visible. And if I take this URL, and I can literally plug this into a browser. So this is what that looks like. And I think as soon as people start chatting again, how to get Moonshire demo on Steam, you just go to Steam and download it. I think it should be available as long as you're on Windows. There's problems with the Mac build. So as anything that connects to this local host, that's on my computer. Local host is what that means. Local is local. That's how it's able to display the chat above my head. It literally is a web page hosted locally that is able to show off. So that's how that works. And if you were asking, you asked, how do you do that? It's extremely complex, very complex. And my only advice is you can take a look at how it works, because the code is open source. It's an open source repo. You can take a look at how every aspect of the app works, and I'm very proud to have this available. Apache 2.0, very, very neat. It's worth taking a look through. I think that this app is a great example, and people can learn from it, but at the same time, there's not really an easy way to summarize exactly like the tech behind how all that stuff works. What kind of updates are you planning to add to the game in the future? I'm planning to add tons. I mean, the version that's on Steam is kind of old school. I don't like Steam. I can understand that because it's like just extra DRM. I think that it would be cool for the game to be available as a web game or as a mobile game as well. Jam. Oh yeah, I'm loving the Spyro music. I think for the rest of stream, I'm just going to work on pixel art. Oh my god. Not this. This is going in the trash. But Rick Carlson, or Old School Geek, earlier mentioned like a beach theme. So let's work on some beach assets. That sounds really fun. I think this song's a little bit louder than the other songs. Palm tree with fallen coconut? That's a cool idea. Palm tree. That's a really good suggestion, because I should work on trees in general, and working on a palm tree can kind of extend to other aspects, other sprites. I'm gonna write a note to check Spyro song levels, song volume, because it's pretty loud. It's a good song to be loud though. And let's go over to my sprites, over into my... They're under props. And plants. And right now, I just don't like how this is set up. Right now my plants are organized in sprite sheets like this, where it has each of the rotating layers one by one. The reason it's set up this way, by the way, if I go into the game, take a look at how the sprite is like rotating in the wind. The way it does that is it's totally layered up, and each layer is rotating independently. Same with the grass. The grass is just multiple layers that's layered up, and that's how that all works. Beach volleyball cart. Ooh, that's neat. Remember the stream where you created this tree? Oh, did I make this stream on this tree on stream? That's cool. I don't remember doing that. Oh, I do remember doing that on stream. And actually, I remember it looking really good right away. Yeah, I remember doing that because I think I basically just took the grass code and then spliced up all of those sprites in real time. I'm surprised that I did something so ambitious on stream, because these days I don't really take risks like that. Open source Kyle. I like open source software. I use Pixelorama and pixel art. What do you think of it? I've actually never used that. I'm not familiar. Okay, so let's... But in addition to this tree, I do also have another one that is not organized properly. How do you decide to make open source? How to decide what to make open source? So I decided to keep Moonshire closed source, mainly because of the assets. A big appeal to me of open source is that I'm able to like go on the GitHub page, clone the repo, and then run it, and then it runs. And with Moonshire, if the assets, like all the sprites, all the music, I don't want people to be able to easily extract that stuff. I'm really okay with people looking at the code. That's cool with me. But the thing about open source is when you give people too much freedom, I don't want them to have access to all of the assets as well, because not all of the assets are all mine. I can't make the assets open source because I paid for some of them. I commissioned some artists for their work. Making all that stuff open source isn't really... it's feasible, but it's not something that I really want to do. It's better for me to kind of lean into making the art as good as possible while using as many assets as I can without worrying about the open source aspect of it. You have compatibility issues with using external libraries. Well, all the external libraries that I have in the game are specifically tailored for Love2D, and there's some exceptions because I have some of the DLLs. Like I have the Lua Steam DLL and the Steam API DLL. So it actively uses these DLLs, which these are like binaries. These are compiled programs, basically, that my Lua file is able to point to. It's able to point from the main.lua into Steam API or into Lua Steam. I might actually use only one of them. I can't remember. And it's worked. It's worked. I wouldn't call it very high, like, confidence, though, because this isn't a very popular framework. Something like Unity or Unreal, those are very widely used, and they are used by large companies, and so there's a lot of demand for having that sort of stuff. But compared to Love 2D, it's much lighter weight, and since there's not as much money being traded in that space, there's not as much support for certain things, which is what, like Lua Steam, for example. Lua Steam, this is an open source project, GitHub Lua Steam. And what this is, Lua Steam, is it's just this big binary that allows you to use Lua to interact with the Steam APIs. Because, like, for example, how do you trigger an achievement to happen? You know, you do something in game and that triggers an achievement. How do you do that when my game is a Lua game, but like the Steam API is not a Lua? There's no Lua integration for it. So that's why you need Lua Steam, this project. It's like the middleman. It is a program that knows how to read Lua, and it knows how to make calls to the Steam API without Lua. And so it's able to take my commands that are written in Lua. It's basically like a translator. It's translating them into the Steam, whatever format that is. Probably some web-based, or it's probably very simple. I bet that it's really feasible to just call it directly, but this program worked really well. And also, Balatro uses this. Balatro uses this same program, so that's a little bit of confidence. But not to toot my own horn, but I started using this program before Balatro was on this list. When I installed this, there was only like 10, and I talked with the original developer, and I think that once Moonshire is out, they might put it on there. Why is Rust in there? Rust. Oh, I don't know. Let's see. Well, I mean, people out there are probably more familiar with Rust than me, but if I had to guess, they're using Rust as like a wrapper. Someone out there can probably answer this better than me, but I would imagine Rust is acting as like the foundation, and then the actual code base, which is written in C++, that's where like the logic goes. But someone else who's more familiar with Rust will probably be able to answer that better than me. I haven't personally used Rust before. Rust is not the video game, by the way. This is a different thing. You didn't drop the YouTube video. I know. I'm really embarrassed by that, but I had so many issues with my video editor. I showed it a little bit earlier today on stream how I switched over to using DaVinci Resolve, and it's going to be out. It'll be out on Wednesday. So the new timeline, by the way, the video will be out on Wednesday, and that will happen. You know, he says with confidence, even though I was really confident the last time. But I'm deep into it now in DaVinci, but I basically had to rebuild the whole thing because I was having so many problems with Camtasia. And it's such a bummer because I like Camtasia a lot. It's a really good program, but when the performance isn't there, it's just a non-starter. It's the same with games, you know, is that if you have a really good game, it's perfect, but the performance is bad, it's like not even worth playing. It's so sad. I really want to play the Mario Thousand Year Door remake, but I don't want to play it at 30 FPS. It's just too sad when the original is higher. So I think that this tree here will make a pretty good starting point for the palm tree. I'm going to make it 64 by 128. Really big canvas. Which Camtasia version? I tried it in 2024 and 2026. But what was happening is that I had footage of my game that ran perfectly at 60 frames per second. The footage did, the MP4, and then I load it into Camtasia, and the preview is choppy, and I export, and the exported version is choppy, and it says it's at 60 frames per second. It says it's all set properly, but it And this is a problem that I've run into in the past as well, where like I would say once a year, I would run into a problem where suddenly Camtasia would just stop handling high frame rate videos. It's right as dead tree. I think that this next one is going to be a palm tree, but I'm using this as like a starting point because I think that the trunk has a really nice shape to it. But I think I'm gonna get rid of all of this up here. How do you level design in RPG games? It's so hard. It is hard. And the way I do it, I don't know if I have any examples. I don't have any examples. I normally have notebooks. I use pencil and paper a lot to plan things out. I also have my iPad that I use sometimes for planning things out. But really the way I design levels is I design them, I make them, and then I play them. And then after playing them, I'll think of some new way to make it better. It's never the first iteration of anything that ends up being the final one. It always takes several attempts. So I'm wondering if I should, I might use a reference for this one. I don't normally like, okay, how about I use no palm tree reference to start, and then later I will look at a palm tree to see what details I missed, or to see if there's anything that I can use to improve it. But I'm going to use my own palm tree knowledge, which I'm from Illinois, so there's not many of those hanging around. I really like Gen 5 Pokemon soundtrack, but I've been having problems with content ID. So I talk about content ID on the channel a lot, where when you use songs on YouTube, YouTube has like an algorithm that identifies what songs you're using, and that makes sense because they want to make sure that you're not using copyrighted material. But the problem is sometimes it's wrong, and sometimes they grant music rights to people who don't actually hold those music rights. And I've had problems where Gen 5 music, specifically Gen 5, I've never had issues with any other generation other than Gen 5 to balance character stats. In my case, there really aren't stats, but well, I guess there are, because you have the health and you have the armor and you have how much damage things do. I guess that just comes down from testing and trying things out. Because the goal is that it's hard for people the first time and then not hard after they play it a bunch of times. Do you make something with the mushroom you created last stream? No, not yet. I just have the sprite. I had 4 palm trees in the shape of a W. Interesting. Learning C# after so many languages is my dreams to make a 2D game engine. I've learned DSA and so much more before. That's awesome. That's a really cool goal. It's a very challenging goal. And I would also say that you'll be much better at making a game engine if you make a game first. Because genuinely, I myself have considered kind of transforming this project into, you know, in a way, it kind of is a custom engine, because I have my engine code. All of this stuff really is custom. This isn't really representative of Love 2D anymore when I have all this customization to it. And part of me was thinking, like, maybe at some point, if the game is useful and like the level editor is that useful, or it's so extensible that it could be used for other stuff, I would totally flesh this out into a custom engine, or like a fork of Love 2D, kind of like Lover. There's a fork of Love 2D called Lover that's used for 3D games. We got some good music today. I haven't played Mugenics for like a month. I got really frustrated because I kept dying. That game is brutal. Jellomations, I don't think that you should be posting code in the chat. It's not really going to be very useful. If I were to start posting my coding channel, is there a chance you would ever collab with me? I mean, I don't really collab with people in general. I reached out to specific artists, but I don't really need any more coders. So back to this. I'm going to... In my head, a palm tree has a bit of a curve to it, so I'm going to try and do... like... I'm also gonna make this trunk less wide. I think that I'm also picturing a palm tree kind of being skinny. Oh my gosh, move. There we go. I'll make the trunk less thick. Like that. Don't forget the horizontal segments going up the tree. Yeah, I'll clean up the texture after I get the shape in place. It's kind of actually not the best choice for me to be spending time filling in these details, like all this stuff, just because I'm going to be changing the shape in just a moment. I'm going to save all this stuff too as an edit. Palm. Any more coders implies there is more than one. Is there Chalky dev army? No, it's just me. I'm going to call this Palm. I think at some point in the future, I would like to hire content developers, not necessarily programmers, but since I want the engine to be super easy to use, and I like people to help with making levels, or people to help with making new enemies or balancing things. That's the kind of things that I would hire for. I don't think I would need to hire a programmer. I'm trying to think of where should I put, make it just a little smaller. Let's see. Well, I should also put, I'm gonna put a player next to it just so I can see how big it is. Sprites, hero, full. So I'm gonna take this little man. Let's see this process. Awesome. Yeah, I like going through this. I think that I shouldn't make it any skinnier than it already is. It's pretty, well, I'm gonna make the trunk less big. Like that. And I don't want it, I'm sorry I'm stuttering a lot. I think that I'll do this, and then maybe I can have it curve up this way? No, if it's gonna curve, it needs to curve down lower. Getting this curve is gonna be tough. I don't know if I should. Let's just go without a curve for now. Whoops. Whoops. I am kind of concerned that this is gonna be too skinny if I do this. I don't know. That looks kind of good. Yeah, I think that's nice. Would it look better if this is really long like this? Maybe build a full tree, then copy paste to make a curve variation. Yeah, I think that's probably the best strat for this. So I'm gonna keep it like this for now. And so like if I made it a straight tree, I think that would be pretty simple because it wouldn't be that much, well, it would be a little bit different. This one has like a full offset branch. Would that look good? If I like took a little piece like this and went down, where it's kind of like a double. It's like doubling up on itself. I'm gonna give up on the texture for now and go back to that later. Would it be more grounded down here? Like the curve comes from the bottom? Maybe not. What if I'm focusing very hard on a single curve? I think one thing that I can do here, I know one thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make it asymmetrical, because right now this side of the stump is the exact same as this side, and I'm gonna change it to be lopsided, where these two are out like that. Oh, that's the secret. That's the secret sauce. Is that it needs to be offset from this side. Is Moonshire your first published game? You could say I published Necrozone as well. But this will be my first like commercial, like big boy game. Okay, this is starting to come together. It's starting to look tree-like, or palm tree-like. That's probably too skinny if I do that. That looks okay. That looks okay. I still have the published Necrozone on your iPhone. Awesome. Yeah, you'll have to keep it for a bit. Although maybe not for that much longer, because really I have the main reason why I had to be taken off is because of the address stuff, but I've gotten that resolved. The company address that I have for Chalakate is now set up properly, so I should be able to get the app back online. I just haven't taken the time to do that. Because it's going to take some bureaucracy stuff. I have to contact Google. And I am not really a big fan of that. Okay, I'm gonna take a snapshot. And let's keep on. Most palm trees are quite thin. Yeah, I mean, as thin as the character though, that's pretty thin. I guess they are pretty thin now that I think about that. But I'm picturing like Animal Crossing palm trees, or I've been playing Pocopia palm trees. They are not that much skinnier from the regular trees, but they do have some different texture and curvation, and the palms are obviously different. Until I can semi-retire to a beach cottage, I don't have the time to answer phone calls, reply to emails for player customer support. Yeah, that's kind of the one thing that I'm worried about. So with player support, like you said, in order to have an app on the store, you need to have a phone number public. You need to have a physical address public. These are very personal things, and that means, yeah, anyone's able to contact you at any time. So I actually set up, and I have a voice like call recording system. So on the page for the app, it's going to have a phone number and an email. It's going to send it to the same inbox where you can submit bug reports and it'll contact me. Not in an intrusive way is the big thing. You could use a Alolan executor as the model. Oh, that's so awesome. I totally could. Yeah, he's very thick towards the bottom and very skinny at the neck portion. This shape is okay. I'm going to take another snapshot. I'm going to just make a new layer too. And this is going to be the palm layer. And normally I don't start with the color. I normally start with the outline, but since this is over top of the trunk, I keep calling it stump, I think. And also, this is a bit out of my comfort zone as well, like freehanding colors like this. I don't want it to be too straight. It needs to be curvy. And I'll probably make it taller. I'm so focused on this leaf. It's looking good, thank you. I think it needs to be bigger. And also, like, I don't need to stop at the black line. I can go over top of it because it's on its own layer. That's the whole point of the layer, is that now, like, I can draw anything, and then I can just turn off that layer. Baby palm tree needs palm parents. That's true. There could be, and also that's the thing, is that there probably would likely be multiple versions. So keeping all of these snapshots is really important. In my head, they don't droop this much. So, and also, I keep saying, like, in my head. Eventually, I'm gonna go back to I'm gonna use a reference. Yeah, in my head, this is like they extend out a little bit more than this. I guess I don't want to go overboard with this. Okay, I like this shape, this teardrop shape. That's a good shape. Yeah, it looks like a little bit more on top of things here. This palm tree was watered more than this one. So that's looking pretty decent. I'm gonna save that. And then let's go here. Another one. And I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. Another thing this reminds me of is Boom Chicka Boom Boom. I think is what the name of the book is. It's like this book about. It's like an alphabet book for children, but it's about palm trees. I don't think that's the name of it. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's something like that though. This leaf, since it's curving this way, I think I'm actually going to move this up. Shoutouts, please. Alistair. I remember your name. Happy to have you here. In fact, I might actually take this one and put it on the other side. No, I don't like this shape. It's okay. Is Aspert really good? Yeah, I like it a lot. It's definitely my favorite Pixar program, but I haven't used all of them, and I'm sure that the other ones are just fine. The thing that I've learned most about software is that you always have tons of options. It's a really common thing for people to like talk about, oh, what's the best one? The best engine, the best, I don't know, anything. You can even talk about like, what's the best email provider or the best VPN? And the people will have like actual arguments discussing it. But really, they all do the same thing. Oh, LibreSprite? LibreSprite, as far as I know, LibreSprite is good. I've heard good things. I downloaded it and I've used it before. Of comparing digital audio workbench software. Nice, that's cool. Same with those, is that I really do think most of them can do the same thing. And you can probably answer that better than I can. Are there specific features that you're noticing in some of the DAWs over others? Because when I was doing my research, I kind of had trouble finding much of a difference. They all had their own individual plugins that were specialized, and they had different features that were probably better in others than others. But at the end of the day, I still felt like, man, a lot of these are able to do most of the same things, which is why I always recommend people start with like Reaper or start with LMMS. I always talk about LMMS. I like that one a lot. You can get it for free. Yeah, I'd say that's probably the best option, is if you are able to just clone the repo and build it. That's probably the best way to get a hold of this stuff. But there's also the online one, Piskel, which someone was mentioning that last stream. I downloaded LMMS during the stream. Nice. I'm curious if it holds up as well as it did when I was... Because I used to use it... I'm not kidding. I probably used it every day for a time, because I was really into music production, and I just used free LMS, and I felt like it got the job done great. But at the same time, I wasn't super experienced with production, and I'm still really not, if I'm being honest. There's lots of people way more experienced than me. There probably are details that I'm missing. I bet there's lots of parts of LMMS, or we use LMMS in school. Really? That's so cool. What class did you take where you would use it for school, or like what project or something? That's neat. I think it's a really good option just because it's, again, open source. You got the free software. I love that stuff. I think that having this one, this leaf on the right is starting to come together a little bit better. Oh, no, not LMMS. Can you articulate specifically what you don't like about LMMS? Because we're kind of talking a little bit highly of it. If there's something specific you don't like, I want to know. Because that will help me be more informed. This shape actually looks pretty decent. It was general CS class in high school. We did Photoshop, music stuff, HTML programming. Nice. That sounds awesome. Dude, I wish my high school offered more classes like that. I took a programming class, but seeing like applied tech, something like that, or interactive media. That's like an interactive media class. That was the degree that they had at my college. It was called interactive media, and I always thought that sounded like a lot of fun. I don't know how viable of a career that is, but it does introduce you to a lot of skills, because like working with Photoshop and working with graphic design and working with video editing, all that stuff is important, but also you can just learn that stuff. You don't need a degree for it. I still remember the .mod files in the 90s as an upgrade from basic MIDI files. Really? I don't think I know that was those. I just used regular MIDI. This shape looking pretty decent. I think what I want to try next is a leaf in the back. So it's actually going to be a new layer behind. New layer, it's going to be below the trunk. The teachers I got were bad. Aw, that's a bummer, isn't it? I felt that way about, what class did I take? In college, I took a philosophy class. And I think that philosophy as a subject is something that it's like right up my alley. I love that stuff. But my teacher was just too pretentious, just didn't know how to teach it. It was just so... Part of the fun about philosophy is that it's discussion-based. It's about reading into things. It's about kind of like the holistic approach to life. And he was treating things as if like he knew the answer to everything and there wasn't really a discussion to be had. It was so cut and dry. So unfun. So I would love to take some other kind of philosophy sort of discussion thing. I did philosophy in my poli-sci degree and it was not for me. I'm sure it just depends. I'm making music for a long time and everyone has DAWs that work for them and DAWs that don't. I think that in general, familiarity is a huge factor because if you know how to use the software, you're going to be able to make what you need to make. I'm doing a year of ICT. I feel scammed because I'm spending 50% of my time doing graphics design, 40% of the time coding with my professor's custom framework, and 10% using actual frameworks. ICT. What is ICT? I don't think I know what that stands for. I was a hardcore EverQuest addict in high school, and we were getting our first computer classes, but it was really super basic, like advanced typing and web navigation. That's cool. So it's funny. Like I took. It was called software apps in high school, where they taught you how to use like Microsoft Word, and I took typing. I'm really good at typing, and I specifically took a typing class in high school where they taught you how to type. And I heard that they don't actually have their kids take typing classes anymore. Can someone confirm? Do they teach young people typing, or do they just learn it on their own? Because if I didn't have those classes to teach me how to do all this stuff, I don't know if I would have the correct form and function, because I'm really fast at typing. I think I would struggle if I didn't have someone teaching me. The way that I learned typing was the teacher gave us a grade based on how accurate we could type without looking. So we would have our hands covered. They actually covered the keyboard, and we had to type things out without looking. And it was really stressful because you had a grade relying on this kind of tough skill. And I had to focus and had to work really hard to get good at coding, or not coding, at typing, to do well at that class. And I think that high stress environment actually served me well. Can't stay long, just wanted to stay in for a bit. Thank you for being here. They taught us very basic typing in like first grade, but after that they didn't care. That's kind of what I would expect. But like today, software is, or like computer literacy is more important than ever. This looks very nice, by the way. I like how this tree is coming along. I said I was going to work on the back layer and I didn't, so let's do that. I'm going to use a different shade of green. I'm going to use this regular shade, but I'm going to go down like that, and I'm also going to make it a little bit more blue. So this is going to be the back leaves. Like, droop straight down like this. Computer literacy is going down now that kids have iPads rather than PCs. That's the impression that I was getting. My mom is a teacher, and she was kind of voicing her concerns about that. Yeah, when I was in high school... What is going... Oh, wait, right, I was on the wrong layer. When I was in high school, there were no computers in classrooms. It was just, like, books and stuff. And I get the impression that today, it'd be weird to have a classroom without computers. I need to get this shape right. You know, now that should I move all of it over? Like, shift the whole thing over? Since it's leaning, I can make it lean more. See, this is the problem with layers, too, is that now that I did that, I have to move each layer individually. I don't think that there's a way for me to copy across all layers. If there is, I don't know how. Yeah, I just took one. That just grabbed one. That's just wrong. It's so annoying. Can I do... No, you actually can't, so that's really annoying. I have to do it one by one. Little brother is almost 15. I don't think he's ever touched a computer outside of school. Kind of concerned for him, and he'll inevitably get a laptop. That is so shocking to me. The idea of not being introduced to computer stuff, that would be so limiting. That's my whole life. I spend more time on a computer than I don't. And I wouldn't say that's a good thing, but I would say that it's a skill that most adults need to tackle, need to handle. I've gotten so used to keyboard shortcuts in Godot that when I try to teach them, say something like, oh, so for example, let's look at this object. How do you open the Yeah, I understand. I felt that way too. And I have an example actually. In my most recent, in one of my recent GitHub tutorials on my channel, there's a part where I'm like, okay, the first step is you go to git.com or whatever, git.org, and you download and install Git. And I showed myself downloading it, but I didn't actually show myself like clicking on the installer and going through the whole installation process. And then I got messages from people saying like, GitHub's not working for me. I can't clone anything. And it turned out that they'd never actually installed Git. They just downloaded the executable, but never set it up. Who you like the most among your subscribers? Oh, definitely Ender Astra, without a doubt. Without a doubt. So let's take a look at that. The way I changed the tree curve, I think, is really good. So now I need to do the same thing for these branches up here. How could you, Betrayer? I'm sorry, Crimson. Is that too short? Oh, that's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. Oh, yeah. Does Linux have more advantages than Windows? I was always choosing between these two. I use Windows full-time, and I will say that if you choose to use Windows full-time, you'll be able to do everything that you need to do. Linux is for people who are like... who really know what they're doing, I would say. Because I installed Linux on this PC, and I like the experience. I think that it's a good... I use Linux Mint. I thought that it was a good experience, and I thought that it was fun to use, and I like the design language of it. I think it makes sense. And the way you interact with it is nice. I would say I like Linux Mint's like whole operating system flow in the Explorer more than I like Windows. But there's a lot of issues when it comes to app compatibility. A lot of things that you need to run just won't be available on Linux, or the experience is not as good. That's the biggest drawback, is that since companies don't support it as much, the experience for users just isn't as good. I hate Java. I also hate Java. I don't hate Java, but I don't really like it, especially after using C#. I think C# is just a better language. Okay, let's go back to this back branch. It's not different enough. Java is so harder than other coding languages. For me, it's less that it's harder, but it's that it has more overhead. It has more code. It has more like lines that more quirks that you need to be aware of. And those quirks are not obvious. This shape is really good, by the way. I think Java as a language isn't hard. It's just kind of annoying to work with, is what I would say, because it's actually a relatively easy language, just because it has a lot of good features. A lot of compared to C. C is a lot harder to work with compared to Java, because Java has a lot of like memory management stuff that C doesn't have. I use Linux Mint full-time and don't use Windows at all anymore, but I've had to make some peace with the fact that some programs and games I just won't be able to run. Yeah, I'm with you, and I was close to being at that point, because really, in my workflow, every single program that I use will work on Linux, I think. Does DaVinci work on Linux? It probably does. And the problem that I had is when I was streaming, and some of the people here will remember when I was streaming from Linux, I had some very strange, like, flashing and some odd visual quirks that were happening that I wasn't able to fix. But like Windows has quirks like that too. It's not like Windows is immune from quirks. So like I understand both perspectives. I think I can make these longer. I want this moved over like this. Yeah, I'm gonna make both of these one longer. Also, I'm becoming more aware of how I say the word both. I say both with an L. I don't think you're supposed to say that. I think you just say both, like with a W, both. But I say both. Exactly, that's how you spell it. Do I have a mullet? A little bit. Let's get in there. Do I like GameMaker? Yeah, I love GameMaker. I haven't used it for a long time, but that's what I learned game development from. Do you think if you render a object like a tree in Blender 3D and then pixelize it, do you think it could be caught to use in a game? No. I think that pixel art needs to be stylized very precisely, and it's sort of like what we were where I was showing my face on stream earlier. How you can take a high-res image and shrink it down to be pixelated, but it won't look good. It'll look like a very hot mess. And I don't really think that it would look very good. That's why pixel art is more of an acquired style where you need to be focused on the restriction. How you have so few pixels to work with, and just shrinking a high-res image down where the colors will like line up, it really doesn't look that good. And here, let's use an example. Let's use an example. Because I can pull up a picture of a palm tree. Palm tree 3D model. Let's see. I'm gonna try and find an image of one. Oh, this is so lovely. Look at this tree. Looks nice. Okay, like these are very skinny. Oh my gosh, look how skinny these are. Yeah, these are some skinny trees. You can use a cartoon filter and stroke the... Yeah, that makes sense. Because you can just... There's so many filters in like GIMP that can remove detail, where I bet that you could use it to make some kind of weird stylized thing. And then you could apply a palette to it too, where it's a low number of colors, less blending, no interpolation. I bet that it could work. You know what? I'm starting to come around on it. I bet that there is a way to do some sort of scaling pixel art. I bet that you could do it if you come up with a very specific system for it. But in general, like if you took this tree and scaled it down, I really, really, really do not think it would look good. I did say palm trees are thin. Yeah, you warned me. You warned me, and I'm like, nope, they ain't thin. But they are. It turns out they are. I can experiment with that and see if it would look better if it was thin. But like this tree looks more like Animal Crossing palm trees, and I like how those look. So I'm gonna show what those look like. Animal Crossing palm tree. That's lovely. Yeah, I think that this is my favorite type of palm tree. I'd probably get it more filled in. It's also using a very light shade of green. Pregnant baby palm tree. That's an interesting idea. Let's try taking layer 1. Just gonna scooch. Just gonna scooch this over like that. That does look better. That does look better. Would it look better if I did that again? I doubt it. I don't know. Maybe I was wrong this whole time. That kind of does look good. Carlos Dev, welcome in. How are y'all doing? Doing good. We're just working on some pixel art right now. Working on a palm tree. I'm trying to decide if I want... Do I want the fetch? Oh, it looks better when it's skinny. It looks skinny. The palm trees are grass. I see. Okay, so I guess it should be lighter. Should be lighter green. Whoa! I'll change the colors later. I just picked off a color from my palette. What PC do I use? It's a Windows PC. It's an i9 with a 5070 Ti and 32 gigs of RAM. It's pretty good. But once the new Intel architecture comes out, I'm probably gonna upgrade to that. Oops, that's the wrong layer. It's the wrong layer. They're closer to corn trees? Oh, corn than trees. I'm like, I live in Illinois. I know that they don't grow on trees. I like it when it's tall, like right on the tip. I think that's a really good spot for it. It kind of looks like it's double curving. It looks like it's curving in and then back up, which I guess a palm tree would do. I could curve it more. Do I want to do that? I don't want to curve it more. Kyle lives in a cornfield surrounded by more cornfields. Like, that's not even a joke. That's like not even a joke. It's so funny you say that. Like, that's like a running joke in Peoria. Ah, what layer is this on? How do you create pixel sprite sheets that gotta fit a lot of props objects into? Create multiple sheets or one big for all items? It depends on the context. I'll show some of those. So like the player is one big sheet for every individual frame. And then you have something like this where it's each individual piece of the blossom tree. Each piece gets stacked on top of each other in the code so that it ends up looking like this. And that's how each individual piece is able to move around like that. Then let's pull up some more of these. Normally, when it comes to sprite sheets, I only make it a sheet when there's an animation, like this one. I'll show some of these. And also, I didn't animate this. This is an animated... The animation is purchased from itch.io somewhere. And each object has its own animated sheet. I normally keep each object separated into its own sheet, but there are some exceptions like the tiles. But actually, even the tiles, I've been kind of consolidating them a little bit better, where it's more like this. In my original version of the game, it was like maybe 8 times as big as this. There were so many. So you got a lot of tile sets. I do have a lot of tile sets. What if Moonshire had 90s anime water? I can't picture what that looks like on the top of my head. But I think that the water that it has right now is pretty good. I think I'm going to extend this one out. No, that makes it too... No, this is fine. This is fine. I like this. No, that's too far. Okay. I'm gonna do that. And let's fill this in. And then I'm gonna move the big one above it over one. Why do the tiles look so delicious? I don't know. Should I stream my game just like you do? Sure. So like for me, YouTube and streaming are separate skills from game development, and I like that streaming helps me get the word out about my game. But when it comes to learning game development, if your goal is to get better at game development and learn game development and improve your skills, I feel like streaming or making videos will kind of get in the way of that, because you're gonna have to spend a lot of time working on that stuff rather than working on the game. I think that I would just recommend personally what I did. What I did was, when I was a kid, I made tons and tons of games and got good at the skill. And then eventually I got good enough where I wanted to make videos about it. And then eventually I got good enough where I was confident to make courses about it. And eventually I was good enough to do streaming, live streams about it. And now we're here. By the way, I used to not do pixel art on stream. That used to be banned because I was so insecure about it. But now I'm a lot better. Actually, I don't know if I'm that much better. It's more that I'm just, like, not as embarrassed. So it's more of a confidence thing, I think. I think that's a good shape. What size are my glasses? I don't actually know. They are kind of big, though. I want to get new glasses that have even yellower lenses, because I have the yellow lens, and it's debatable on if they actually help your eyeballs be safer, but I think they look cool, and I kind of want to lean into it more. So maybe one day soon you'll see me with the yellowest eyes of all. You use normal or specular on your props. Again, Blender does this instantly. Do you use normal or specular on your props? I mean, it's all just pixel art. I'm not using 3D modeling or anything. Oh, maybe you're talking to someone else. Oh, this is a good angle, actually. It makes it look like it's really far back. Why did the music stop? What happened? Can you guys hear me? What's going on? Oh. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That was my bad. I'm sorry for skipping the song. The I hit the mute button on my keyboard by mistake. Sorry about that. Oh, that's so nice. That looks really good. I think I'm gonna move this. I think that this plant's too big over here. We could hear you just fine. Sorry about that. I got scared. It's a masterpiece. Thank you. It's getting there. Just working on the proportions. It's definitely coming together. It does look a lot better. Am I using a pen tablet? No, I'm using just mouse. I have one, but I don't use it. Okay, what should come next? I'm almost thinking that this back one should be fill, because there's a lot of empty space right here. Maybe... I really like how this looks, though. I don't want to change too much. Ugh, making it worse. That's the beauty of pixel art, is that things get worse sometimes. That looks okay, but like, it's coming from so far down. I kind of want to move this black pixel up to here. Oh, it is out of time. Oh, jeez, I'm glad that you said something. Yes, let's add coconut. Let's go coconuts now. And this will be the last thing we do. Thank you for pointing that out. I got in the zone. I got in the zone. And coconuts, like, this is a pretty flat perspective, straight down. I don't think I need to do anything other than just a circle. And this is on a new layer, so I can just, like, freely go over top of it like this. How many should I have? Should I have 3 or 2? Or should they be the same size? Should it should have an outline. I'm gonna put an outline for sure. I think that outline will help. And also the outline's gonna have to blend with the outline of the actual branches and stuff. Oh, this back one doesn't look good. This doesn't look like a ball. It looks like a diamond. Small to be relative size. Yeah. I think that it's basically the same size. Here, let's do another one of these. Let me try this again. Because I think that dimension, because the thing about circles, you know, pixel art is made of squares. How do you make a circle when it's made of squares? That's a common problem with pixel art. Also, I think I'm gonna make it a lighter shade of brown so you can, well, I don't know. I think I'm gonna make it more red. Red coconuts. In real life, a coconut is slightly smaller than a human head. Okay. I guess that means, it's perfect! It's perfect. Perfect size. So, like, the trick is, I need to think of where's the best position. It has to go up here. It has to go up here because of the perspective. I'm just gonna match it 1-to-1 like this. Oh, I don't like that. Look at this. This pixel here bothers me. It's so sad, but it needs to be there. Looks fine. I just don't like this. I think they're too overlapped like this. I think they're too overlapped. Let's try it one less overlap than that. And actually, I'm gonna do it lazy. I'm just gonna copy it. I'm gonna copy it and we're gonna do 2 of them next to each other. Like this, except it's gonna be more like this. Oh, see, I think that the back one, make it darker, okay. I think that the back one, I need to make it less red if I'm making it darker. I think the back one should be smaller. I think the back one should be smaller. Why not have one foreground, one behind the truck? Okay, let's try that. I like that idea. That's a really good suggestion. Tips to improve pixel art. My only tip is just to do it a lot. Because I used to be really, really bad. And really, it wasn't that long ago. It wasn't that long ago at all that I was really bad. Whoops, not that. I need to move. I want to move this. Yeah, I like that. And then this green will go right in there. I think they would look better more round if you push the outline 1 pixel in so it's smaller. Okay, I can try that. Uh-oh, did I put this on the right? Oh no, I put it on the wrong layer! Ah, bummer. I put it on the wrong layer. Is that where it was? Oh no. Yeah, I think it should be smaller. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and do that. It looks too big. Yeah, it looks very diamondy like this. And like I could put edges and like that, but now we're getting into... I'm not liking that. I could do that and make it more square. Is that the same thing? Is that what it just was? I mean, if it's... Oh, it is different. Yeah, this looks way better. I'll put that there for now, and I'm gonna make a new layer, like that Watcher was suggesting, and this one's gonna go between the back leaves and the trunk. So I can just like take that. Whoops. Take this coconut. I might try and make it smaller again. Whoa. Okay, okay, now we're talking. That kind of looks good. It kind of looks like Sideshow Bob. It looks like a cartoon character where these are his eyeballs and this is his hair. Yeah, I think that I'm getting some pretty big Sideshow Bob vibes from this character here. So let's kind of lean into that a little bit. And then we'll make the back even darker. And then we'll give him big Simpson eyes. And then and then he has yellow skin because he's a Simpson. Okay. Okay, looking good, looking good. Something about this music just feels right for what I'm doing right now. Okay, and then well, I'll give him some pupils. Okay, looking good, looking good. And then let's give him like a nose that sticks out like that. Okay, okay. Okay. Let's give him like a big interior mouth like this. We'll make him smile. No, he's not smiling. He's frowning. He's angry. He wants to get Bart. Okay. This is a really good character. If you told me this was a Gen 1 Pokemon, I'd believe you. It kind of does. Yeah, it has very wild eyes, I think. Put bossa nova slap music. I mean, this is just video game music. Is the same thing. It's a secret evolution of Palm Tree. Yeah, I can't believe I went from this to this. But I think that that's a pretty good spot to call it quits. Now that we got this. Honestly, this is a really good spot. How about next week we come back to this, because there's more I could do with this. I haven't shaded it, and I haven't finished the texture on the trunk yet. The coconuts can be shaded too, and I might make one of them smaller. Oh, why does he look like a Ferb? He does look like Ferb. He totally looks like Ferb. Yeah, totally. Do I like Godot? I think Godot's awesome. I haven't personally used it that much, but it seems really good. This Easter egg tree, yeah. Maybe if you like roll into one tree 10 times in a row, it'll turn into this. Why can't you finish it right now? It shouldn't take too long. No, I'm ready to go. The stream ended 15 minutes ago. Or it was supposed to end 15 minutes ago, so I'm ready to call it quits. And on that note, I'm going to be finishing up. Thank you everyone for being here. So many people came today and supported and hung out with me. Thank you. I really appreciate that. People like Wolf and Ender and Random Guy, Crimson Art, and Rick Carlson, the old school geek himself. Tijlipa, Desriel, Ambrothholm, Rethanon. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate all the support. And I will be back next week for another Moonshire Monday. And stay tuned for Wednesday. The new video about Z-Axis is going to be posted on Wednesday. And I am also going to be streaming on Twitch tonight at 7 p.m. That's in 7 hours from now. So feel free to stop over to my Twitch. I'm going to be playing more Pacopia. Can you believe it? I really like Pacopia, and I'm going to be playing some more of it. But again, Ender, Random Guy, Carlos, thank you so much for being here, and I'll be back next week. Bye, everyone.